cheer here in the winter. This time of year used to be quiet and calm, and now it's turned into a three-ring circus. I mean, look at these decorations, Cora. It looks like Santa Claus and Jack Frost went on a bender and barfed all over the town square. Selene! A trio of witches stood within earshot, using their magic to weave pine swags and glittering strands of garland around the lampposts. At Selene's outburst, they turned and scowled. I gave the witches an awkward wave, while scolding my familiar from one corner of my mouth. You're making a scene. Which, to be fair, was kind of her specialty. Selene continued, undeterred by my complaint. The town wasn't meant for throngs of crowds. The infrastructure isn't built for it. Why that thick-headed Peabody can't see that is beyond me. Oh, I see what this is about. I pushed the box of candles under the table to nestle alongside a matching tub. My backdrop was painted white, and I'd crafted an enchanted candle just big enough to cover my booth, which, once lit, would complete the effect, and make it appear as though a gentle snow were falling all around me. Straightening, I brushed my gloved hands together. You're just mad because your permit got denied. This all sounds like the little green monster is rearing its ugly head. Selene scoffed, her tail vibrating fast enough I was afraid she might take off like a helicopter. Ha! These peons don't deserve my top-shelf magic products. I said you could have a corner of my booth to sell your enchantments. I'm not a charity case, Cora. I pinched my lips together and gave a slight nod. Weeks ago, when my mom convinced me to reserve a booth at the market, Selene caught wind and decided to follow suit. She submitted her application to the powers that be, only to be told she would need a human to run the booth. Apparently, Walter Peabody, or whoever was in charge of these decisions, had decided some guests might find the idea of exchanging money with a talking cat to be a little unnerving. Even in a magic town like Winterspell, there were certain oddities that fell outside the norm. Talking cats were a rarity, and up until fairly recently, Selene had been the only one. Of course, she'd spread her magic to Checkers, my aunt's familiar, and while there were some residents around town who knew of his ability, he was much more low-key than Selene. Selene, on the other hand, wouldn't know the meaning of the words low profile if they smacked her upside her furry little head. She preferred to run around town with the force of a tiny hurricane on four paws, barging into whomever and whatever and dousing them with her fire hose of sarcasm and snarky commentary. And, surprisingly to no one, it rubbed people the wrong way. I secretly imagined the rejection of her application was due more to her acerbic personality and less to do with the fact that some people might find it odd to purchase enchanted trinkets and jewelry from a cat. It's fine, she sniffed, though her ears remained pinned back as she surveyed the work going on around us. Just don't expect me to hang out here with you all day. You do realize I'm not even going to be here all day, don't you? This was Mom's idea, so she's agreed to pitch in. I'll be at the shop trying to keep things running as smoothly as possible. Selene nodded absently. Good. These people don't deserve you either as far as I'm concerned. Voices carried from across the square, where a few sentries stood gathered around on a tall ladder, watching as one of their robed members stretched to adjust the colorful beaded garlands wound around the enormous town Christmas tree. I wasn't sure who'd selected this year's tree, but it was a good 2 or 3 feet taller than last year. A seemingly minor detail, but one that surprised me all the same. The chair of the Winterspell Town Council, Walter Peabody, liked things to have a certain order, and he wasn't a fan of change. He was the type to ride around town with a ruler in his glove compartment in case he needed to measure the grass in someone's front yard and make a complaint to the appropriate department should he deem it too high. He was the personification of persnickety, wrapped in a collection of cardigan sweaters, complete with suede elbow patches, and refused to tolerate anything that wasn't up to his exacting standards. He'd been marching around with a clipboard all morning, barking orders and scurrying around wearing a variety of exasperated and scathing looks.